So I'm here today to talk about Hydra. I've got 15 minutes to wow you and want you to come and talk to us at our booth. Does anyone know what Hydra is? Hands up if you know about Hydra. All right, cool, that's good. So loads of you are going to be educated then. Fantastic. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Lee Jeffries. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect for VSI right now. I have the benefit of being in lots of vendor programs and working with lots of different technology, and have been working as an independent consultant for the last 8 years, probably been in tech around, 20. I'm not that old, but I think I'm probably the youngest person in EUC right now, because we don't seem to be getting any younger. I'll be giving a session today for Go EUC. That's all about Intune. That's this afternoon. I'll be doing that with Ryan. And when I'm not doing any testing technology, being a geek and doing these things, I do have children and a wife. And I like to do running, triathlons, and water sports. Water sports is a relaxing bit, actually. The running and triathlon is more of a challenge. So if you ever see me at conferences and events like E2E, I'll be the one organising the runs at 6 a.m. in the morning for the hungover nutcases. So what am I going to talk to you about today? I want to talk to you about Azure Virtual Desktop. For those of you who don't know Hydra, it is a management platform for Azure Virtual Desktop. Specifically today, though, I'm going to dig into image management. It's a hot topic in Azure. It's difficult to manage images in that sort of platform. We'll talk about the future, how Hydra adds to what you can do in Azure Virtual Desktop, image builds and automation. We'll talk about how you can schedule things to make it fully autonomous if you want to be able to roll out updates straight to host pools. And then if I run out of time, if I have time, I will talk about Login Enterprise a little bit. That is our other product at Login VSI that we use for automated testing and scalability. Then, if I've got time, a bit of QA. So, image management in Azure today. I have this argument, right? There are people out there that want to go fully automated. You all want to go DevOps. Let's do everything as infrastructure as code. It's a great idea. And it does work for a majority of large, mature organisations, where they've got the money to hire people that have the skills to be able to do these things. But when you get consultants in to do this sort of stuff, they tend to leave you with this, this big ball of code, and no one knows how to manage it. So we have ClickOps on the opposite side of things, where we have people that do things manually. They have documentation. They've been doing a job for years, and they want to walk through some steps. They do manual image builds. Hey, it might be slow, but it works for them. And if it's documented, is it really a bad thing? So with Hydra, you get a bit of both. You can do things manually, but you can also fully automate things. And it's not incredibly difficult to do that. In fact, I'd probably say the learning curve for doing something like this is not as steep as diving into the DevOps rabbit hole. So what does Hydra give you? It's going to give you some low-code, no-code automation, depending on what you want to achieve. There's some built-in actions that will allow you to automate certain things. Things like Windows updates, optimizing an OS, offboarding machines from Entra, all that sort of stuff will be handled. But there is also the option to be able to customize and add your own PowerShell scripts and actions into custom workflows. I'm running through the slides because I want to get to the product. So the future with Hydra. As I mentioned, unified AVD platform. Image management is part of that at its core. It has an automation engine built in though. So we add our own PowerShell scripts into the solution. We then have something called collections. And with collections, we can streamline and create task sequences very similar to sort of like you would do with SCCM back in the day, right? I want to install this package, reboot the machine, do something else, and you can run through and create these sort of automated tasks for Azure VMs. We have host pool management and auto scale, all the usual stuff you'd expect to be able to add to cost optimizations. A storage account monitoring so that we can manage and automatically extend storage accounts as they run out of space. Nobody likes it when their storage account fills up and users can't log in anymore because their profiles can't expand. So when we come to a halfway house between automation and manual actions, do what you know. Where you've got an organisation with staff, give them the ability to be able to work how they need to work and make it more efficient by adding something like this. Now, I talked about that scripting and automation engine. Hydra is basically one big automation engine. It's constantly watching your environment and then actioning things where it needs to action things. Built-in scripts for Windows updates, app installs via Winget, and OS optimizations. That's all in there, so you don't need to script things like that. But where you've got, say, custom applications you need to deploy, you've got the option to deploy them via Intune. I'm talking about that later. Spoiler alert, it might not be as quick as you think it's going to be. And you've also got the option to be able to pull a script together, put all your media in a storage account, and have that pulled down to your template machines. So we bundle those into collections, and those collections are those task sequences. So, digging into Hydra itself, I haven't got a mouse, I've only got my touchpad, so you have to bear with me. These are host pools. Fantastic, really simple. I've got one for desktops, I've got one for personal machines, and I've got a couple of sessions logged in and running. Login Enterprise happens to be actually controlling these sessions for me, so I've got a login VSI user there just whittling away doing some stuff. But what I want to dig into first are those scripts and collections. So we're all IT folks and we all have to do things. Everybody has their own library of scripts. You put a lot of effort in to be able to build these things to automate your current environment or save your time on tasks. We want to embed those things into this. So what we've got here are all the built-in scripts, and then if we scroll down a little bit, some different ones. Oh look, there's one for installing some apps. So where we're not using Winget, there's an evergreen script. Really simple, right? It's just the same PowerShell that you'd run on a client, just pulled in here. This one in particular grabs 7-zip, Notepad++, Putty, and Greenshot, and we'll pull them into the machine. But that doesn't really help me. I don't just want to do one thing. So what we have are collections. Now in these collections you will notice I have an initial image build collection. This is the cool stuff. Now these sorts of task sequences or collections are not just useful for image management, they're also useful for maintaining persistent host pools, because you'll see here I've got a list of actions, I've got some Winget packages in here, I can go and see what it is that I'm actually installing. It's just loading and querying the public repositories right now. There we go. And look, I can just type whatever it is that I want, and it's probably going to be in there. So you can just add applications to the list, no problem. But you can see what I'm doing. So when I build the host, put it in drain mode, deploy the Hydra agent. We've got a nice little agent that will give you performance metrics for user sessions, all in real time, so we're not relying on the Azure backbone. Or backplane, I should say. We apply some OS settings, install some apps, Windows updates, optimize the OS, then we restart the VM and we turn drain mode off. That's what we do. That's an initial image build. But if I add an action, you will see here, I have a number of different options. I can restart the VM, I can create snapshots, I can change the size of the SKU, I can send messages to users, log them off, and I can also just rebuild hosts, like replace them, which will basically mean I just take the latest image. So all this stuff you can do in an automated way. I've also got a collection in here as well. If I go up a little bit, or is it down? There we go. I've got one for updating my image, which is just updating my Winget apps and then installing Windows updates and optimizing the OS again. So how do we do it and what does it look like? We've got imaging definitions. We essentially say, hey, there's a VM and it's sitting here. So that's the VM I want to take every time, and every time I take this VM, I want to update. I want to use that collection to update this image. When I go to imaging definitions, I then have the option to be able to schedule that. So I haven't any longer got to worry about that machine or that image being updated. I will always have the latest copy with the latest Windows updates, and I haven't really had to write any code because I could just use my basic built-in options. So if you want something really streamlined, really fast, you've got this in here. From a host pool perspective, I've got a host pool for templates. If I build a new template in here, I get a bunch of options. Now these are actually template options that I can use just to build this on a regular basis. I can choose an image, or I can grab something from the marketplace. So if I want to, I can build a machine, say a 24H2 Windows 11, and then I can just say, hey, it's my initial image build, and it will run that collection script on that. So I have the ability to create new images or new VMs, and then use those as templates. So I have sort of an evergreen approach. Because if I'm using a host pool with ephemeral disks, I can use autoscale to just completely rebuild that on a regular basis. So inside one of these, if we dig into the settings for a host pool, you can actually see there's my autoscale kicking in and doing my job for me. The blue line here are the sessions. The red is the capacity of the host pool based on the number of sessions per host. And then these little blocks at the bottom are us starting and stopping machines. If I scroll down, I mentioned to you, you can do stuff manually, right? So I just talked to you about automation. But we can also pick one of these machines, and we can also run those scripts and those collections live on these machines. So I also have a replace session host wizard. So if I want to, I can update all of these in a pool, and I can do it for just machines that are in drain mode. So if you've got someone that's really used to doing things in a manual basis, they fit into this. If you've got someone that's really used to doing things in an automated fashion, they also fit into this. But not being a one-trick pony is really important. So what about user session management? We have the ability to be able to shadow sessions. It'll pull down a little JSON file, which is actually handled by a browser extension we install. That'll fire up an RDP shadowing session, very similar to like a Citrix Director remote assistance type situation. But I can also actually dig in. That's my session right now, right here. I'm connected to an AVD shared desktop. These are all the processes I'm running. I'm not doing very much, of course, because I'm talking to you. But what I do have, system metrics, live, updated every 6 seconds. I've got my CPU and memory usage and my processor and disk queue length. I also have my connection details. You can see I was connected upstairs. I walked down the stairs, lost my connection, and then it reconnected me back down here. Although where we've got a user that's not on public Wi-Fi, it's a touch more interesting. Jim talked about multipath. You notice all of my connection was in red. That's because I was TCP, but in my home lab, I've got users connecting in automatically and running a workload there, using UDP instead, and they're using short path. So what we could do with these metrics, we can work out if it's a machine problem or if it's a user connection problem. And then lastly, it integrates with FSLogix, so you can see profile utilization. And we can do things with profiles too. So just selecting a user, obviously I've got the normal things, log them off, disconnect them, but also resetting their FSLogix profile. So that is Hydra in a nutshell. If you want more information on this, and it does do more things, of course, come and see us on the booth, because I am literally just about to time. But just to summarize what I just showed you, which was super speedy, we can schedule image builds. So rather than going just full-blown code, it's great if you've got a Packer workflow, fits into this too. We can take the same VM that you build with Packer, and we can then roll that into an update process. Hydra is multi-tenanted. I have to mention that because it does have role-based access control. So if you're an MSP, you install this in one place, you hook into all the other tenants you want to manage, and you get all this functionality, including being able to manage images and all the automation across multiple clients or multiple tenants. So, I am to time on, Nige.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Right.
Thank you for starting on time as well.
Well, I was going to wait for you, but then I thought... so if you're interested, we are on all the socials. We do have a website, obviously loginvsi.com, and you will be able to organise a demo, but really, come and see us at the booth. So with my last, 1 minute, 30 seconds, does anybody have any questions?
Obviously, it's a competitor to Nerdio.
Who's that? I don't know who they are.
They've had to step up. They've called this advanced AVD. So, do you have customers who are coming away from? Is this all native people from AVD looking at you as opposed to Nerdio? Or do you have customers pulling away from Nerdio because your solution is cheaper, better? I need to kind of
Yeah, it's a tough question. Like, Neil, I was in Palm Springs, right, for NerdioCon. I was a Nerdio Valuable Professional, and when VSI bought Hydra, I had to bow out of that program. So I know both products pretty well. What I will say is Nerdio has had a significant amount of investment. When VSI bought this, it was made by a guy called Marcel Mura, one-man band. We've added more development resources. We've added a support backing for enterprise-level customers. But Nerdio's been around a lot longer. It's got a lot more features than what Hydra has. What do we see? We see more around the, I'd say, SMB space, or just about getting into enterprise level. We see some of those customers looking for cost savings. The pricing model for Hydra is different. So we don't price per named user, we price per concurrent number of sessions. So if you have 200 users in February, you get charged for 200 users. If it's 150 users in March, you get charged 150 users. So the pricing model is different. Our base price is $5 per user per month. And then that's translated into local currency through the marketplace. So yeah, different pricing model, different target market, I'd say. No problem. Tough question. Whew. All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.